So I have identified 3 maps within Black Ops 4 Zombies which I feel I consistently recognise as the worst within the game. And to get to the bottom of this, let's start by going over Voyage of Despair. Now when it comes to Black Ops 4, I have always viewed Voyage of Despair to be the Shadows of Evil, or rather the attempted Shadows of Evil of this game. I mean, it's set on the infamous Titanic with a complex map layout, has 4 elemental versions of its wonder weapon, is packed with side easter eggs, and is not very friendly for the casual player. So let's compare it to Shadows of Evil to see why it failed. Firstly, the layout. Whilst Shadows of Evil is also a fairly large map, it's designed in a way that's not overwhelming, with the spawn room located in the centre hub of the map that connects the 3 districts of Shadows of Evil, which essentially breaks the map into 3 separate sections, allowing you to deal with one at a time instead of all at once. Whereas Voyage of Despair does the opposite. You spawn right at the end of the boat and have got a long linear pathway to opening up the map. Not to mention that there are multiple levels on this map as well, which just feels so off-putting and tedious right from the get-go. Which, if you can overcome that, now you've got to deal with the chaotic progression this map has. With Shadows of Evil, the progression feels orderly and consistent, where you open up each area, get the gate worms and jug, then Pack-a-Punch, then the sword, etc. But Voyage of Despair is really all over the place. I mean, you've got the Pack-a-Punch quest, which is not difficult by any means, a quest to get the wonder weapon, which is so complex that you're better off to just try your luck and hit the box. And then to upgrade the wonder weapon, all you have to do is take out an elemental zombie with the Kraken and then come to this workbench. Like, it's just not consistent and unenjoyable to say the least. But then there's also the more general issues, such as the failure to capitalize on the fact we are on the Titanic, and the many bugs and blue screens that occurred on the release of Black Ops 4 that unfortunately taint the memories for a lot of people. Which unfortunately is also the case for Blood of the Dead, which I feel suffered more from these launch issues due to the frequency of them occurring whilst the community was hunting for the Easter egg. But also, like Voyage of Despair, Blood of the Dead failed to capitalize on the setting it was provided. A reimagined Mob of the Dead minus many of the beloved features. No plane, no Golden Gate Bridge, no afterlife, and I mean the list just goes on. But it was also the unnecessary changes, such as moving the iconic spawn room, moving both the dogs and the Hell's Retriever location, and there now being 2 power switches, and also integrating the means of turning on the power through the shield. All of which are very questionable to say the least. The changes Black Ops 4 made as a game also hurt the map, the most notable of which being the removal of Jug and the ability to now spawn in with loadouts, which all of these things really destroyed a lot of the progression Mob of the Dead provided, and as such, the map as a whole just felt confused. Like it was stuck between trying to be a Mob of the Dead remaster and a standalone map all at the same time, and was just compounded by the Black Ops 4 launch as a whole. Not to mention the Easter egg as well, which is quite comfortably one of, if not the hardest Easter egg in all of Zombies. I actually am quite a big fan of this Easter egg, despite its difficulty and seemingly random steps, as I think it's good to have that one Easter egg within Zombies that is a true test of your skill. But despite my opinions, the truth is, it's quite a controversial Easter egg, with some people enjoying it and others who despise it for some of the over-the-top steps and sheer difficulty. And so with Blood of the Dead seeming to be both an unfaithful remaster of Mob of the Dead, whilst also being affected by the launch issues, meant that it was not received too kindly. But one map that had the luxury of not being compounded by launch issues was Alpha Omega, a reimagined version of the Nuketown Zombies map from Black Ops 2. Now, unlike Mob of the Dead, Nuketown Zombies is not held in nearly the same amount of praise within the Zombies community as Mob of the Dead. So in theory, with considerably less expectations, Alpha Omega should have been able to deliver an improvement on Nuketown Zombies without breaking a sweat. But to be honest, I would personally rather play Nuketown over Alpha Omega almost any other day of the week. Honestly, this map just completely lacks any sense of character or uniqueness. Almost everything within the map is recycled, whether it be the map itself, the Mark II wonder weapons, or even the Galva Knuckles. the Easter egg, which is essentially just a downgrade from Gorod Crovey, the Pack-a-Punch quest, which resembles the Origins generators except somehow more annoying, and I mean the list just goes on. And I also just feel that this map looks by far the worst out of all of Black Ops 4. And I know it's going for that 1950s style with the flushed out and desaturated colours and all that, but I think it just makes the map look really bland. And the map also features the return of one of the most annoying bosses in the Nova Crawler, except now with an electrical version, and also again the return of dogs that are now electric as well. I mean, how original, right? The map is just so uninspiring and really does just feel like a filler map to get to DLC 4 Tag der Toten. So with that information, which of these is the worst? Well, to be honest, I don't personally think there's much competition here at all. It's Alpha Omega, and I'll explain why. So when I look at Voyage of Despair and Blood of the Dead, while yes, they are flawed maps, I can at least respect the effort. I mean, Voyage of Despair is an entirely unique zombies experience and map in its own right, and some of the new things added into Blood of the Dead aren't too bad either, such as the Magma Gat and the Catwalk, which I think is a great early round challenge. Not to mention, I also feel that Blood of the Dead had an almost impossible task with such high expectations. But overall, every time I come back to Voyage of Despair and Blood of the Dead, and even just Black Ops 4 in general, I find myself enjoying it more and more every time. However, none of this is true for Alpha Omega. I genuinely struggle to name anything that is unique about this map, as just about everything within Alpha Omega is recycled content. Like the things I mentioned before, the Mark II and its elemental variants, the Gorod Crovey-like Easter egg, the resemblance of the Origins generators, the Pack-a-Punch quests, the bosses, and just the map itself. It's all reused stuff. And I'm not saying that reused things are bad, but if you're gonna recycle things, you've got to A, change it up in a way that's interesting and unique, and or B, use it sparingly, which this map just fails to do either, and as a result, just feels like the most low effort experience ever. And unlike all the other Black Ops 4 maps, whenever I come back to this map, I leave disliking it more and more. Now, am I saying that you are unjustified in disliking Voyage of Despair or Blood of the Dead or any other Black Ops 4 map more than Alpha Omega? No. Obviously, a lot does come down to your own opinion, but I think in terms of the qualities of a zombies map that people classify as being unfavourable, Alpha Omega seems to tick more of those boxes. And that's backed up by this poll I put up on my channel. But there is one other map within Black Ops 4 that I'm always surprised about the fact that it doesn't get nearly as much scrutiny as Alpha Omega. And that's Tag der Toten, which I personally feel possesses a lot of similar characteristics to Alpha Omega, especially with reused assets. And the fact it is another, what I would consider, downgraded, reimagined version of a previous map, Call of the Dead, yet it doesn't get nearly as much flack. So you guys let me know why you think this is. Although in saying that, Alpha Omega is still considerably worse. So then, what's the best map that Black Ops 4 has to offer? Well, we may have to cover that in another video. Thanks for watching.